back to Vizaural Music, the music podcast where we talk about tracks we found on Bandcamp, SoundCloud, and that were sent in by listeners like you. You can always find all of the details about these tracks and where to download them at Vizaural.music.Blog. And you can also email us at Vizaural.music@gmail.com. As always, my name is Ryan.
And my name is Craig.
And I think we got some interesting songs to discuss with you this week. But before we get to that, I know, Craig, you're now a bit of a celebrity because you were appearing on, communist public radio talking about something related to
the most communist of public radios, Boston Public Radio.
Oh my God!
Actually, I guess Berkeley Public Radio would be the most communist.
Well,
Boston Public Radio is probably the most unintentionally racist public radio.
Is it?
Boston's still a pretty racist city.
Well, I would say Berkeley actually has competition because they also have other public radio options like KPFA, which is much more left-leaning. But anyway, so I know you were on the radio recently, Craig. What was that for? Were you pimping our podcast every 2 seconds?
Since clearly you didn't listen, I'm going to say yes.
Well, I'm hoping that you would just tell me that happened and that they just cut it out. That would at least make me happier. Because the fact that you didn't really disappoints me.
Okay, yes, I did, and they cut it out.
I would have every 2 sequends found a way to work it in.
Even though it was live on the radio, that 7-second delay, they're quick on it. Like, oh, podcast, nope.
Yep. So what was that all about, Craig?
My wife annoyed them to the point of having them have us on to talk about veganism and how it's not a diet but a philosophy and ethics. And because it's the start of a new year and people they have a lot of people that are interested in veganism. A lot of vegans listen to it. The couple of times that we mentioned our Instagram during the thing, we got hundreds of new followers. Well, not hundreds, at least 100 new followers both times that we mentioned it, which was fun.
Which is why it's ever more disappointing that you didn't mention our Twitter handle.
Oh, now that you mention it, yeah, that really does seem disappointing. There's a lot of people that instantaneously searched for us on Instagram. Damn, next time.
I don't know what the Venn diagram is going to look like for people who are tuning in to listen to a conversation about veganism and the people who want to listen to deep cuts on Bandcamp. I'm hoping there's a big circle in the middle, but it might be a very small sliver.
Well, there's at least one, and that would be me.
Okay, well that's good. Hopefully some of you guys out there too. I must say this year I've been trying, or not just this year. I don't make New Year's resolutions anymore. I feel like if I just need to get in better shape, I just need to start getting in better shape or eat better or whatever it is. But I have been trying to have both in my household and my personal life fewer animal and processed foods. But I could tell you, and maybe you guys have advice for people out there. The biggest challenge is with your family or families, my in-laws and things like that, where it's a hard thing to just be like, hey, yeah, this week we're just not going to have any meat in the house or any kind of dairy, and it's a harder sell. Do you guys encounter that with people who switch over, and how do they deal with it without being assholes?
Yeah, well, so basically, if they come into our space, they gotta abide by our rules, man.
Oh, that's
our house,
fine.
Our rules.
I guess it's a little different when it's my wife, where I can't say it's my space necessarily.
Right. Well, you got to convince your wife to do it as well, then, and then your children. No, going out to places or going to visit friends. Obviously, they know of our situation, and we don't get a lot of pushback. That much, I guess. You get stupid jokes and everything, but we'll either bring food for us or make them feel really guilty and just stare at them while we're just drinking water or beer when there's nothing to eat. And they're like, oh, well, we got chips. And I'm like, I don't want fucking chips. I want a real meal, you dumbass. That type of thing. And that usually works. It makes them feel bad. And next time there's usually better options. But no,
I don't think I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I was going to say, from a conversion standpoint, it's easiest to just turn your house first into an area where you're not bringing in animal products because you control that space the best. And then when you go out to eat, if you see the option, just eat the option.
I'll say that it's, I was a vegetarian for a long time. I was a vegan for a short time back in 2000. And even though I lived in Santa Cruz, it's much easier now to have a diet that is less in animal products. Just like fast food places offer more things today.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like it's just generally more common, because that was always the challenge too of just being a vegetarian. If you're on the go, it was like, okay, I need to find what kind of fast food place can I get that I know is not gonna have that will have at least a non-meat option. And it was sometimes a challenge to do those types of things. So the fact that more places are offering that, I think that's going to change it for people, because if it becomes not a chore to have to search down food, people will pick probably a healthier option as long as it tastes good.
Oh yeah, like it's so funny because like Taco Bell is probably like the most vegan friendly fast food place out there. Like you can turn anything on the Taco Bell menu basically into a vegan option. Like you like Crunchwrap Supremes, just get a Crunchwrap Supreme Fresco style, sub the meat for beans, and you're good to go.
There you go.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I eat way too much Taco Bell. Honestly, it's way better. Like Chipotle is terrible, even though they have obviously they have the veggie burrito and guacamole, but they just throw everything together. So half the time you get a chunk of meat in the vegetables, and then when they get the guacamole, there's always so much cheese still on the thing because it's terrible. I've never had I've had one issue with Taco Bell in the last 2 or 3 years, and I called to complain, and they're like, "Oh yeah, sorry about that. What's your name? Next time you come through, just to give us your name, and your next meal will be free." And,
all right.
Well, it was so
good customer service there. I must say,
episode today brought to you by Taco Bell.
Oh God, I wish they sponsored this show. Can you imagine the kind of Taco Bell bucks? Even if they just gave us free tacos.
Yeah, I mean they just have to give $10 an episode, and we could probably eat each for a week.
Ah, dang, man. I could tell you, though, I was listening to KPFA, the left-wing station here in the Bay Area. They had someone on, I guess he was a famous vegan because they had him on. He was talking about it. And the one argument that he made that I thought, this is not a good argument, is that cheese and meat don't taste good. Like he said, I guess maybe in his mind, he had, transitioned a long time ago to this diet and or lifestyle or whatever. And I thought that's not a good argument, because I think most people will hear that and be like, no, actually this tastes great. It's
no,
problems
your
to it.
Taste buds definitely change. And now if go somewhere, and like I said, if you get a Chipotle burrito and there's accidentally a piece of chicken or steak in it, it does taste god awful. It tastes like you're eating decayed, rotten whatever. And I know 5 years ago it wouldn't have tasted that way, and it would have been oh, this is really good. But the same thing with cheese, if you accidentally have real cheese get into something, it just tastes like vomit.
Well,
and
I
so
guess
your
you
taste
just have to
does,
sell it to people that eventually your taste buds will change, but this actually does taste great.
Yeah,
right
but
now.
being that one thing that you won't give up because it's one of the most pleasurable experiences you have every day of your life, multiple times a day. You're wrong. It actually tastes bad. That is a terrible argument.
All right. Well, I'm glad you recognize that. Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Enough about that. Let's actually hear some jams. And these might all be vegan acts, or they might all be carnivores. I don't know. I don't really care. Let's just hear some of them. Let's start with our very first act. This is a Russian singer named Dee Grinski with a track that I don't have listed. So I found this one. I wanted to find some more kind of traditional pop singers. I wanted to see who's making a pop, trying to be a pop star via Bandcamp. Obviously putting things together on their own. And I stumbled across this. I thought it was interesting. I feel like the vocals are almost out of place with the music, that she's not a traditionally quote unquote good singer, at least not in the way we often think of pop singers. But I liked the way it gelled together, and I was interested to see what you think of it.
Well, you know how some songs you just immediately know that it's just not your jam?
Yes, I do know that.
Yeah, that was this for me.
Oh.
Yeah, like I and then when the vocals hit, like you're saying, it was even more obvious that I didn't like it. Like,
why is that? Just nothing specific? It just...
No, it seemed like a weird, cheesy 80s, like soft rock, easy listening radio song that, like, I just didn't like. And maybe if I was like, you know, a 55-year-old housewife, I'd be like, oh, I remember listening to this when I was, you know, back in my good old days. I don't know what accent that was.
I don't think anyone's ever said that, but okay.
I apologize for that. But no, I just did not enjoy it. I like, yeah, it just wasn't my thing. I didn't like the eras that it drew from, and the sounds that it, you know, made my brain hear.
Well, fair enough. I mean, I think that it's interesting enough in that, like I mentioned before, it doesn't seem to fit in the mold of what I would expect from a pop singer, and maybe that was the intention, or maybe that's just how this person is, and that's, you know, what the product they produce. But I thought that was interesting enough that I'd, you know, wanted to share it with people on the show here. And I recommend taking a look at some of the other tracks, even if you're like Craig and it wasn't quite your thing. Let's go ahead and listen to our next track. This is from a individual or a band called Simon Jones with their track 33 Degrees of Madness. Tell us about it.
I did. So this definitely brings back those retro 80s synth feels. So like this is a different set of 80s sounds than Dee Grinski was. You know, the kind of the new wave in, not new wave music, but the rediscovery of the sound that kind of started with like the Drive soundtrack, and like the Stranger Things soundtrack, like the music on the TV show. Like, did you ever listen to Big Black Delta?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like to me, musically, these two, Big Black Delta and Simon Jones, are very similar, where it's kind of like that, you know, kind of driving synth thing. They got that bass line going, but obviously there's no vocals here, like there are with Big Black Delta. But it's like this weird up-tempo, but kind of dark, gritty electronic music. I liked it. Each track, I don't know if you listen to other stuff, but it was pretty distinct from track to track. So, you know, like the last episode where I complained about a lot of electronic songs where it just kind of seems very samey.
Sure.
Like this one, you could feel the root of everything, but the trunk and the leaves were completely different of what made up the actual track.
Sure, and I only listened to this one track, so maybe I have to go take a look at the rest of the record. But it wasn't bad. It did sound to me like a video game soundtrack, and not like an 8-bit chiptune type of thing. Chiptune. Yeah, but more just like, okay, I can see that this is atmospheric while both, while still having some kind of melodic element that you'd be kind of nodding along to, or that you could hear it over and over again on repeat, because, you know, that's what you'll need to do in a video game, in a place, or, you know, that's having the music repeat itself. So I thought that was interesting enough. I'd be interested to see if this is actually meant for, for film, or that's the intention, that is going to be used with another medium.
Or like a video game where it's like an F-Zero racing game set in the Blade Runner universe.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, let's make that. Let's make that game.
I know. I think they are coming out about with a Blade Runner type game pretty soon.
Do you know how to program computers and stuff?
Not competently.
Oh,
Well, if you're listening to the show and you want to do that and just basically take our idea and give us 50% of the residuals, I'd be totally down for that.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, let's do
Have
that.
you seen the new Blade Runner movie? The one that came out, I shouldn't say new. It's like 2 years ago now.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I've got weird feelings about the Blade Runner movies in that they are gorgeous works of art that suck ass as movies.
Really? I would say
Yeah.
the first one, yes, has like, this is a beautiful film, but the story is clunky. It doesn't, and a part of it is because everyone knows of all the multiple versions that exist and blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah.
I
all
was
that's
just about to say which of the 30 cuts is the
The
one
final
that you're
cut is the
talking-
real cut.
Wait, which final cut? The
my God.
actual ultimate? There's like 4 or 5 different final cuts. So
Okay, I guess it's the one that does have the unicorn vision at the end, which I know was added from another movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any of the narration. That was only in that first one. I'm not sure what else distinguishes it from other ultimate cuts, but
Okay.
that's the one.
yeah.
But I actually think the second film, the newer one, is one of the best sci-fi movies ever. Like, just, I was thinking about all the people complaining about Star Wars, and God, you search up or you watch one YouTube video about people complaining about The Last Jedi, and it will recommend 8,000 videos. So if 8,000 people are making those videos, I can only imagine it means there's even more people who feel the same way. But
Yeah, you also watch one video of people complaining about the latest Star Wars movie, and then suddenly you get, videos from like Ben Shapiro and Peterson and all those other alt-right guys. Because if you hate the new Star Wars movies, you're basically a Nazi, horrible human being.
I don't know.
That's what YouTube thinks.
Oh yeah, that is true. That is true. Yes.
You watch any video on YouTube, and the next recommended video is like, "Oh, do you also want to learn how men are being mistreated in 2019?"
Do you know what the Jewish question is? I'm like, just stop trying to make me a Nazi. I just want to watch a video about Star Wars. God damn it!
It's like, I just watched a video on bonsai trimming. I don't want to be turned into a men's rights activist.
Yes, but I realize that, and I'm not the first one to say this. I actually think like a lot of more astute fans who aren't Star Wars fanboys, they're recognizing that Star Wars just isn't that deep, and that it never really was. I mean, it has some great philosophical elements, like an Empire Strikes Back, about, this great warrior Yoda is not actually a big, strong guy. He's, his greatness is something else. Like, there's some interesting ideas there. But at the end of the day, it is like a kid's movie. And when I watch Blade Runner, the new one, I think this is so much more mature, and it actually is. I'm like, dude, this is the future. This is the sadness that is going to be modernity, where everyone's still going to be working. There's still going to be jobs, and we're not going to live in like a Mad Max society, but it's going to be a place where it's going to be just dingy and terrible, and we all just kind of retreat to our homes, or we have robotic girlfriends or like digital programs. And I just think, man, this is way more direct, and I wish more people would have seen it, because I think a lot of these people complaining about Star Wars, if they just switched their attention to that new Blade Runner, they'd be like, oh, this is what I'm looking for. Or maybe they don't. Maybe they just want to see more lightsaber battles. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's always funny when people are shocked when a children's movie meant to sell children's toys doesn't grow up with them.
Yeah, and I've tried to watch the old Star Wars and see, like, is it just my nostalgia as a kid who loved these things? But I still think those first ones are fun movies. There's nothing deep to it.
They're
but
terribly
they're fun.
acted, and the plot is about as deep as something that's not very deep.
But the things people complained about of that new Star Wars movies, like, they were really mad that Rey, I'm sorry to spoil Last Jedi, like, that she comes from nobody. Her parents were just, bums. I thought, that's great. I love that Luke Skywalker was this kind of like, I'm kind of done with this. I don't want to train people. And people were so angry about that. I thought, that is way more...
I mean, the true irony is we don't really know who her parents actually are.
Yeah, but it's better, in fact, if they were bums. That's much more interesting.
Yeah, exactly. But it's still like, that's what she thinks, and that's what she's been told. Like, Luke thought he was like a nobody from a desert planet that just needed to get new batteries for the at Tashi Station or whatever it was.
And you know what? It would have been better if that were true.
Yeah, like it's just so stupid. Like
It's
people are
not to.
dumb.
Sorry.
I'm just no. My statement is just people are dumb.
And I'll spoil the new Blade Runner real quick here. So if you want to see it and you haven't seen it yet, skip like 30 seconds ahead here. But the moment in that movie, and part of the reason I also love this new Blade Runner is it has Ryan Gosling, and so my wife, of course, likes Ryan Gosling. So she'll watch this really slow sci-fi movie if she's like, well, okay, Ryan Gosling's in it. I guess I'll sit down and watch this thing with you. But there's that moment where he thinks that he's the one, he's the child, and so he's like importance, and he starts to make like, a narrative around his life, and then when he realizes like, no, I'm not, I'm just a nobody. But then it's like you have choice. Now, okay, now you know you're no one, but now you have agency. You can decide to do the right thing. I'm like, damn, that is a good narrative, theme to hit on, not like the Star Wars stuff. And I wish that more people had seen that. And it's just a great scene too when he realizes he sees after his digital girlfriend was broken, sees the ad, and it's like, oh, maybe this person, maybe she was talking to me the way that this program talks to everyone. And actually, I made it all in my mind that I was someone important in this grand story of the world.
Yeah, but at the same time, that probably would speak to a lot of incels and be like, yeah, see, like they're just, poisoning our minds with these ideas that blah blah all this other crap. And I don't.
Well, they should see that. Like, you know what? I'm not that important in the world, but I could decide to do the right thing and to be good and to help others. Like that's the narrative at the end, is that you weren't destined for anything, but you can make something of yourself.
I will say one thing that I like about the new Blade Runner is that pretty much all animal life is dead. Which is going to happen because, as we talked about earlier about veganism, because of animal agriculture and the fact that it's such a strain on the the environment and land use and resources of this planet, that we grow most of our food to feed to animals that are then wasted. It's a great system, but around.
I really feel of all the sci-fi that exists, Blade Runner is the most, I could see the most realistic future. It just seems like that's where we're going.
We'll take away the flying car thing. We're never going to have flying cars. People can't even drive regular cars.
That is true. Can you imagine people just like falling out of the sky and stuff in these?
Oh my god! Just running out of gas and then they just fall out of the sky and just like kill people, or there's just no road, like the Jetson stuff where like just zipping around, like going up and no, it's never gonna happen. Like people don't even want to like. Yeah,
that is true. And obviously George Lucas must have seen Blade Runner before he made the prequels, because he rips it off like constantly. But I wish this movie would have come out before he made those prequels, because then maybe he would have ripped off something good to like put into the narrative itself, instead of just, oh, there's gonna be some flying cars and there'll be big billboards just like a Blade Runner.
Yeah, there's going to be a racist caricature of somebody from the Caribbean Isles.
That wasn't in Blade Runner.
Oh, there wasn't? No, it was in the prequels of Star Wars, though.
Yeah, I know. I just wish you would have borrowed some of the good stuff. And anyway, let's go ahead and jump to our next track.
Let's talk about GorpoPap.
Yeah, GorpoPap from Philly with their track Heat. So I know I found this one, and we've been talking about electronic music, what we like and dislike about some of it, and that you can have, basically the tools are now available for anyone on almost any computer-like device to make music, which is both great, but it means you make a lot of, there's just a lot of stuff you have to wade through. And I really like this because it was so minimalist. It was so counter to what I was already listening to, which was very glossy, kind of neo-funk. electronic music, and I thought this is pretty interesting. I like that it just has so little to it, and it has that lo-fi electronics aesthetic to it, that it's not all just done in some in software on your computer, but it sounds like things are actually being, you know, recorded live, or an instrument that's being connected to something. So what did you think of this, Craig?
Yeah, I'm going to show my age here, because I don't know if you ever grew up with this, but I hope you did. Do you remember that game when you're like a kid that you like push down the top of it and you try and fit all the different shapes into a big grid, and it's like ticking down, and then when the timer goes off, it like jumps up and all the pieces go flying?
Yep, I absolutely remember that.
Perfect. That's the energy that this song puts off.
That you're just waiting for it to pop on you?
Like it was weird. There's a weird tension to it, and I really liked that, because, like you were saying, there's a lot of the glitchy electronic stuff that is just so saccharine sweet, and so it was a fun change from that end of things. It just, I don't know why, it just felt like there was like this driving, intense energy to it, even though like it wasn't like it was just rooted in that, but it wasn't like a focal point of it. I don't know. I really liked that. Like you were saying, that it's not a traditional, like, by the numbers, by the books, electronica, like neo-electronica thing that you all too often put on this show. So thank you for that. But yeah, I really like this.
All right, well, good. I think we both enjoyed that track. So go ahead and take a listen. I know it's a free download, so it's available to anyone. Let's go ahead and jump to our next track. This is from a Tokyo group called Shuyam, and the title is in Japanese, so I don't know how to read it. 'So I do like J-pop. I like some of K-pop as well. I especially like when it gets a little kind of ridiculous or glitchy on the J-pop side, and this had elements of that. I really liked that it had vocals within, but I didn't know if they were processed or not. Meaning I didn't know if there was either some kind of auto tuning going on, or some vocoder that was playing with it. They just sounded really high pitched. That might just be the vocalists themselves, but it was catchy. I enjoyed it. I was dancing around to it. I know my daughters liked it as well. So how about you, Craig?
Well, if somebody told me to think of a Japanese pop song, this song would immediately play in my head.
All right. Is that good or bad?
I think it's bad. It was too happy. The song was too happy. But
God forbid someone make something fucking happy.
Oh, like a sad song is meant to eventually make you happy. Don't give me a happy song and expect me to be happy because of it. Ugh. Anyway.
But the good thing about songs like this that are in a different language is I actually don't know. Maybe, I just have to listen to the vocals as another instrument. I don't know the lyrical content, so it might be really, really depressing.
Sonically, then, aurally, it's too damn happy. But anyway, by the end, I kind of was digging it. So I guess it takes about 3 minutes for Stockholm Syndrome to set in for me.
All right. Well, that's,
so if you kidnap me, you just have to get by those first 3 minutes, and then I'll be your best friend.
Okay. that should actually be the review on the cover.
That's not an open invitation to kidnap me. Please do not.
Actually, I think it might be, so I will recommend it.
No, I literally just said that is not an open
Craig
invitation.
lives at 555 First Street in some Irish place, I'm sure.
My phone number is Klondike 5.
All right, let's take a look then at our next track. This is from a band called the Hathaway Family Plot with the song A Flat Thing Part 1. I don't know if you, as a now Massachusetts resident, do you find Buffalo, New York as kind of like I always mix those up, like the greater Boston area and Buffalo, because I don't feel like the greater New York area and Boston are similar, but I do feel like Buffalo is. Do you feel some affinity? And the reason I bring that up is because this band is from Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo's like 8 hours away by car.
Yeah, but you guys are like similar. You're it's cold, and you're kind of
Buffalo
like you're second-rate cities. In an area with some really great cities.
Wow. No, I have no affinity. I mean, I like buffalo cauliflower wings.
Okay. Well, how about this song? Did you like this?
Well, I picked it.
Well, you can pick songs that you dislike.
Oh, I definitely have done that. No, so it's an album all about conspiracy theories.
I did write that down.
We should have probably had it on the other week. This is not now. If you do the Alex Jones impersonation, I am stopping this recording.
This is how you stop the globalists.
God damn it!
No, actually, I read that on this thing. I thought, I hope that's a joke, or or at least I hope it's done kind of like, this is funny, and not like, this is going to be music. It's going to help expose the globalists.
No, I'm pretty sure this is poking holes at the whole idea of right wing fear mongering and everything like that. At least, especially like based on some of the other albums. I hope anyway, because I really like this. I liked the weird sparse piano bits, the drum sound, how just like guttural and crunchy and just like horrible, harsh, like just vile sounding drums. The percussion is so good. Like the vocals, like post-hardcore screamo stuff that I grew up loving. Like, I don't know, like it had a lot of weird elements again of stuff that you don't think should really go well together that just worked.
Yeah,
like a lot of the songs like take a little while to get going. So like I chose one where you can kind of hear stuff going on in the first 30 seconds because you're terrible at jumping to the middle of a song if nothing happens in the first 30 seconds. So I have to now pick songs where something happens in the beginning. Otherwise, there's like 30 seconds of like 3 notes, and then we start talking about how it's like a hardcore death metal song, and people might be confused.
Hey,
I'm just making
the
fun
parts
of you
I
as
like
an
the
editor.
best.
All right, the beginning of my songs, because I see where this is. No, but I really dug it. I listened to some of his other stuff. It's really cool. So I dig it. I like it, and yeah.
It was interesting. I enjoyed it too. It's just playful with the structure and trying to play with different types of genres and sounds, and I appreciate that. So, keep it up, the Hathaway family plot. And tell us more about these conspiracies. In fact, if each song had a specific conspiracy attached, like this is the Alex Jones one, this is the chemtrails one, this is the 9/11 truther one.
Did you not look at the song titles?
I guess I must have missed it. Do they all actually have something to do with a different conspiracy?
Yeah, pretty much. Let me see if I can. I'll read off some of the other, because I think a flat thing is about a flat Earth. Yeah, because they have Lizard Brain.
Now definitely love this record.
Yeah, Lizard Brain, Ancient Aliens Declassified, the Berkshire Hathaway plot, Life is a False Flag.
Oh my God, I totally missed all this. Well done.
There's a 9/11 one that's just Things Just Fall.
Oh, this is excellent. Okay, well done. All right.
Yeah. Sorry, then there's one, I think it's a 2-part song that's basically our dream of a water energy cell dies outside a Cracker Barrel in Grove City, Ohio. I need to look into that one because that one sounds interesting.
I want to buy into that conspiracy theory. Yeah. All right, well, that's good.
No, no, it's fantastic. So
okay, well, take a listen.
The whole album is really cool.
Let's go and listen to our next act. This is a Minnesota act, your old stomping ground, a band called Anais with Better Than Most.
I need you here, I need you beside me. I just don't know why. I just don't know why I've been involved in trying to juggle you both. Better than most, I don't wanna let you go. I just don't know why. I just don't know why I've been trying to juggle you both. Better than most, I don't wanna let you
found this. I mentioned last episode a few weeks ago, I was, reading about R. Kelly and stuff, and I actually had to go back and what were some songs R. Kelly made other than Space Jam? Do I remember all these things? And I thought I need to hear some more R&B music, not because they are associated with R. Kelly or anything like that. I just was like, I want to hear more music like this, something a little smoother. And I fell upon this act, and I just thought it was really interesting. It seems like not a complete statement. This does seem like a band or an individual still playing around with how am I going to record some of these ideas I have, where it feels like each song is not quite a song. It's like a sketch. Here's an idea I have that's not fully fleshed out. It's not totally complete, but I thought this track was really interesting, and I thought, well, they're from Minnesota, so Craig's gonna like it by default, I'm sure. So what do you think?
Well, I had no idea they're from Minnesota. Now I have to change everything I'm about to say. No, I'm just kidding. Like you were saying, I would have liked it if it was a bit longer. I don't think it's the best pop song, but I think that roughness to the polish is what makes it good.
I feel like this is what at least what I envision when people say it's a mixtape. This is like an unfinished idea, or here's just some ideas I've been floating around. It's not quite a statement yet. That this seems like that,
where there's bits and pieces that kind of just flow from one to another without a concrete idea kind of taking shape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would definitely see how something like this would work in that setting, like this little track. In a podcast where we just talk about a song, it's a little harder when you have where you knowingly have a snippet of a song, even though it is good. You just want more of it, and it's not like the statement where you're like, oh, you always got to leave them wanting more. No, this literally needs more for it to even be thought of as a song. But no, yeah. I dug it. I wish I would have had more time to kind of check out more of their stuff, but my kid may or may not have pink eye, so we've been kind of dealing with that. So yeah.
Well, you got to stop, touching his eyeballs with your poopy hands.
Well, it's a her. So thank you for misgendering my child.
I think we talked about that on a previous episode too.
Yeah, we have. No, I think it might be like a viral thing because it's already going away after a day. So
well, there you go.
And it's not crusted over with green pus coming out of it, and she's not fussy or anything like that. So
I'm sure this band really appreciates that. We went from talking about their track to pink eye and pussy eyeballs. That should be the review on their cover.
Yeah. Anyway, I did like the ideas that were being put forward, even though they weren't complete. So.
All right. Yeah, we'll take a listen. There's some interesting ideas here. I like to hear it when it's all kind of completed or all the parts fit together. So let's go ahead and jump to our next track. It's from Columbus, Ohio. It's a musician by the name of Emme Phyzema. Is that right?
Oh my God, you're an idiot. Emme Phyzema.
Oh my gosh. See, they're too clever. You guys are too clever with these names. Emme Phyzema with their track MJS. Clever kids with their names, but this is an awesome track. I'll let you start, Craig, before I say what I like about it.
Oh, okay, that was fantastic. No, like I talked in the last episode, reading the tags that artists choose themselves is always fun, and I think the tags from this really says it best. It was avant-garde, yeah, experimental, folk, definitely see that.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of prog, but not really.
Yes.
Kind of metal, but not really. Then avant-garde with an apostrophe between avant-garde, whereas the other one didn't. There's differences apparently.
I guess.
And then kind of just some noise.
That was one of the tags?
Yeah, kind of just some noise. Yeah, no, I love this. I know I got called out a couple of episodes for, kind of playing it too safe. So I went down some fun paths. Like last show, had weird mix of space metal and electronica and whatnot. Here is like a dark folk with some metal and noise. This track is kind of it's a good representation of all the different shuffling influences. There are some that are more straight kind of dark folk. There's more that's really just noise and metal. So like if you like this, I would venture out and listen to some more of the other stuff. If you liked some aspects of it, those tracks are in there as well, where you can kind of pick and choose. But yeah, I loved it. So I'm kind of curious your overall impressions.
Yeah, I haven't heard the rest of the record. I thought it was interesting naming conventions, all the tracks, when I pulled up the link and I'm like, okay, they're all just, I don't know if these are all like acronyms for cities or something like that, or it's just a random assortment of letters. Each one of the songs is just a 3-letter title, but this is an awesome song. Now that you mentioned that they're not all like this, I'm kind of interested to see where the rest of them fall into. But this really reminded me of Sun City Girls, which is a band I really, really love that walks that line really carefully between, here's some awesome riffs that you're just gonna be like, headbanging to. It's kind of metal, but not really. And then some weird experimentation and, bringing in kind of like Eastern or even some of the Western influences, just all kinds of stuff thrown together. And I thought, man, this is a great track. And the fact that this is not already on a cassette or on a CD, if there's other songs like this, I can imagine this would be a pretty, not a big act. This would be a band that would get a decent amount of attention from people who are in the know. It kind of reminds me of the previous website we had a podcast on. We had talked about a band called Car Seat Headrest, and it was before they blew up and became a big thing. Like, in fact, I recently just sold some of the cassettes that he sent me. No offense to the guy, I don't think he cares now, but I sold them for like $150, $200 for a cassette, and I thought, this is insane. I got these for free from this guy. So, not to say that Emme Phyzema, because I think you have to work on that name, it's going to be that big, but I think it has the potential to get a lot more attention than this little Bandcamp site that we stumbled upon.
No, the name is great. You're gonna have to work on your brain.
I can't do these weird okay.
No, so you were saying that you love this track. This is the only one that you listen to. Like, basically, if you take a Venn diagram of kind of prog but not really, kind of metal but not really, kind of just some noise and folk, that this would be like that that intersection of all of those. Mm-hmm. So, and the rest of the tracks, like I said, just kind of veer off more into one or two of those influences, and it's all really neat. But yeah, it's just loud and aggressive, abrasive, but in a really good way. I really dug this.
And based on what it said on their Bandcamp site, I'm inclined to think all the drums are just programmed or kind of loops and things, because they mentioned someone who built the tracks, and I assume that the singer/guitar player is just one person and coming up with all this, so they might have to work on the fact that they got to make this a band to really break into the next level, but I hope they do.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at the next one. This is a submission that we received. This is from a New York act called Arvid with their track Goodnight, Daydream.
Start with you, Ryan.
Oh, okay. I quite like this. I like any track that is this kind of bedroom pop that has very sun-soaked vocals, and it might be a choice about the how it's recorded, but I generally find that it's easier to record kind of reverb, distant sounding vocals. So that's why I often hear that type of technique in these types of songs. But I really liked it. It was really good. It was catchy. I liked the whole record. It seems like he's got a lot of fans already too, just based on the amount of interest in that Bandcamp page. And this was, again, someone who reached out to us. I think we've been batting 3 for 0 when it comes to quality submissions, music that we just really like, and we don't have to stretch ourselves to find something positive to say about it. So what do you think?
Well, one, it would be 3 for 3.
Oh, 3 for 3. I guess that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, not.
Well, we didn't miss 3 of them.
Clearly, you're huge into sports.
I am. That sports ball is my favorite thing.
Oh my God, I hate people that say sports ball. I'm an interesting person. I don't like sports, and I call it sports ball.
It's really easy to not like sports, too, when your wife doesn't watch sports and your friends don't. Like, I literally will not know. And I don't watch TV, or at least not, like, broadcast TV. So.
Oh, I don't watch TV. I don't even have a TV as I sit in front of my computer screen and watch Hulu for 8 hours. And I
watch plenty of programming. Let's not.
Yeah, no, I hate people. They're like, I don't even own a TV. And then they're like, all they do is talk about every popular TV show. I'm like, yeah, you clearly don't.
But here's how it is different. Now that we don't have broadcast TV and I have kids in the house, it's like I don't see commercials, at least not outside of the YouTube ads or whatever. Most of those are like, start your Wix website now and blah, blah, blah. But like my kids, when they watch Netflix or they watch a cartoon on it, there's no commercials. So when we go to someone else's house and I'm realizing, oh my God, I'm being bombarded every 2 seconds with like, here's this event coming up, buy this product. It kind of drives me a little crazy at this point.
And like commercial breaks feel so long now.
They do. They really do. But
back to the song. Yeah, back to this track. It's one of those things where it's weird because part of me really liked it, and part of me was like, I've just heard this too many times, and I don't know where to fall. And I'm sure, like, I think like you really liked the level of voice affection on the track, and I think for me it was a little bit too twee. Like, it just, to me, it sounded like somebody doing Elephant Six cosplay, and that's not like a bad thing because I love every band that was an Elephant Six band, and so like that's great.
All those Elephant Six bands are just doing cosplay of 1960s Brian Wilson stuff that they like.
Yeah, exactly. And like I know we talk a lot about bands just kind of doing studies in genres, and that's kind of what this came across as. But I mean, if you're gonna parrot something, like they chose a great genre to parrot, and they did an amazing job of it. To me, it didn't stand out any more or less than like a lot of bands that do this sort of thing. And that's not to say that's not a negative. Like it's a good song, and they did a great job of it. But for me, I don't know. Like I'm at a point in age in my life where I don't need more of a genre that I already listen to a lot. Like, and I hate people that get to that point in their life, and it hurts me to say that. But
yeah, you're like a real piece of shit.
Wow. Thanks.
No, but I think you're kind of right about maybe a genre study. But I give a greater leeway for someone who's doing a study in something like this, because I think it's really very hard thing to do.
It is hard to pull off. Like those Elephant Six bands were amazing, and like they definitely changed the face of indie pop moving forward from the late 90s into like the 2000s and everything. Like I'm glad that they did something really well of it. I would have hated for them to try to do it and like come across as sounding like Of Montreal, because that band is terrible.
Oh my God, I really want to punch you in the face now. Steve, if you're listening, you could also punch him in the face.
Well, we know Angel is listening.
Yeah, Angel, you can definitely punch him in the face.
I'm going to get a text from him for sure. He's already yelled at me privately about some of my amazing takes. But no, like I really liked it. But like I said, I don't know if it's something that I would go out and seek more of, because like I do have limited time, and like whereas some like the Emme Phyzema stuff, like there's not a lot of bands that sound like that.
Okay,
in
that's
the past
fair.
Or currently, so it's like that's something new and interesting. And yeah, so like it was really good, but to me it didn't have anything more to hook me in. And like that's, you really dug it, and I'm sure we could listen to another band that sounds very similar to this that I would absolutely love and be like, this is one of the best bands of 2019, and you'd be like, yeah, it just sounds like stuff I've already listened to.
Sure.
So
I mean, and I guess I love this type of music, and we all have those genres where we pretty much, I mean, this I think would fit into stuff that's put out on Burger Records. I know I bring them up a lot, but they kind of are just this, at least down here in California, kind of the quintessential. We will put out lots of bands that are trying to do that 60s sound, whether it's, in kind of the more orchestral Brian Wilson stuff or more kind of rock and kink stuff. And I just really find that I never dislike that kind of music. It might not always be the most forward thinking or trying to do new things, and I know that might sound counterintuitive to what I've said in previous episodes or even within this episode, that I want to hear something different, but it just is like that warm blanket where I just go to it and I enjoy it every time. And I, like I said, I listened to this whole record, I've listened to this song many times, so it might just be my warm place that I go to. But I feel like this, unlike the Emme Phyzema, which is really cool and interesting, this is something I could give it to my dad. I could give it to other people. And even though it's a little bedroom act, they'll listen and be like, oh, that's really cool. Or I didn't know people, sitting around playing with Pro Tools or GarageBand are able to do that.
yeah, it's always good to sell a band by saying like, my lame dad would like it.
I don't know if my dad is lame. He's got some fine taste. I mean, he's no more lame than I am.
Your dad's really cool. Yeah, well, I think you're burying yourself on this one. No, your dad's great. But yeah, I mean, I have genres too, where like sad bastard music that, like, whether it's male or female, I will listen to any person that just plays like, melancholy, sad, just depressing shit. Like, it doesn't, it like, even with just like a couple of guitars and not much percussion, like, I don't care. I don't need a lot for those types of genres, and I know they're not better than anything else or worse than anything else, but I still love it. And like, I don't know, it's just weird for a track like this. Like I said, like, I know I like it, I dug it, but for me, I'm not gonna like continue to listen to it moving forward. And that's not like a knock on the track. It's just my stance, man. Again, it'd be a perfect band. Like, if I'm like, oh, I'm in the mood for Neutral Milk Hotel, and I put Neutral Milk Hotel radio on Spotify, I would love it if Arvid came on along with those other bands. Like, it'd be fantastic.
Yeah, well, like, that's just your opinion, man. So let's
Get
go to the last
Get that
track.
Spotify money.
Let's go to the last track on today's show. This is a band called Awkward Geisha with their track Springtime Stomp. This is a UK band. The name of this record is Mama Cass Choked to Death on a Ham Sandwich, which I'm pretty sure was what Taylor Swift was going to call her record until she changed it at the last moment.
She changed it to what, Reputation?
Yeah, they said that had a little more, market appeal. So
yeah.
So
I mean, I will say the reputation that she's talking about is the reputation of Mama Cass choking to death on a ham sandwich.
Which is kind of an amazing title. It tells you a lot about this band right off the bat. We're like, okay, let me hear what Mama Cass choked to death on.
Let's see what a band called Awkward Geisha with a name like that album sounds like. Turns out it's an improv jazz ensemble.
Which is not what I expected, because the minute I saw the title, I thought this is going to be like just some noise thing, because a lot of noise bands, that's how do you differentiate yourself from other ones? You got to have like a crazy cover where it's doing something weird is happening, or it's going to be crazy titles. And it wasn't that at all. In fact, I found this really kind of for, free jazz. It was pretty smooth. I mean, it wasn't
it was
very
tight.
abrasive.
Yeah, like, so I know we talked about a Minnesota band earlier, and I'm going to tell a story about when I lived in Minnesota and how it ties in to Awkward Geisha right now. I know. So yeah, I listened to a lot of stuff like this when I lived in Minneapolis. Like, I was a short bike ride away from like a swanky hipster coffee bar that had live jazz once a week. Most of those bands were like older folk, and most of the but they still played more free and improv stuff than like your typical jazz standards, which was great. And one of my favorite acts was probably the oldest of them all. And there was like this, the guitarist for them was so old, but like every once in a while they would do like this random funk, like weird, like dirt. Like, it was just hard to explain, like this funky improv free jazz thing. And it was so good. And then they stopped coming, and I learned that he had died, and it was really sad. But anyway, and then there's other bands around that time, like Happy Apple, and then that kind of turned into, one of the guys from Happy Apple started the Bad Plus.
Okay, that's a name I know.
That were big for like a hot minute. Anyway, that was my nostalgia trip, and I really enjoyed back in the day free improv like jazz like this, and it was nice to discover a band that was very similar to that, where it was just kind of straight ahead jazzy jazz.
That's got to be the title of this show, Jazzy Jazz. I like this too in that, like I've said, you'll find if you go to that tag in Bandcamp that says like free jazz or something, or improvisational jazz.
Oh, some of it's so bad.
I mean, I like when people are trying to just, this is not going to be quote unquote music. This is going to be playing with sounds.
But there's like people that are like yelling into the saxophone in the wrong direction. It's
like,
just guys, like, you're just trying too hard to be different, and you can tell, and it's annoying. So I do enjoy when people that are technically proficient and masters of their instruments can do something like this, where it's a little more playful.
Sure.
On the free and improv side of things.
Right. I mean, we've likely been guilty of this in our lives too, but sometimes the improvisational will just be, well, I don't have a vision for this. It's just going to see what comes out. And this seemed to be a bit, like actual accomplished musicians who can actually pick apart, okay, well, even though this is going to be an improvisational piece, there's still going to be some things that link us together that we have in our minds, maybe some music theory that we know where we could take this. And I really appreciated that, especially from a Bandcamp release, where I know jazz music unfortunately is like the least bought music in the world, even less than classical music. Like it's basically, if it's not public supported jazz stations, you're like not going to make any money at this point. So I appreciate that people are still out there making it and putting it out on Bandcamp.
Yeah, like what was I going to say? I don't remember.
I mean, I feel bad for jazz musicians just because it seems like
the window and it just seems so dreary out. I'm like, oh.
It's dreary here too. God dang it.
Anyway, yeah, no, it was. Have we had jazz before on this show?
Not anything that would be traditionally defined as jazz. I'm sure, like we've mentioned, some of the tags have probably said jazz, but it would be not recognizable to that.
Yeah, I when I was in Minneapolis, I was really into jazz, and I really liked this, and I was just happy. It was for me, it was a great nostalgia trip, and I'm glad that you also enjoyed this lovely weird song. And there's a lot of songs on this album.
Okay.
Apparently it took a while for her to choke to death on that ham sandwich, because they got a lot of tracks.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder, now that you've mentioned it, I'd like to go back and see how many songs have I liked versus you. And I guarantee I like more of the songs. And I'm sure that says good things about me.
It means you're a terrible critic.
No, I just love everything.
No, I know.
Most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a difference between love, like, appreciate, and giving like props to. Like,
sure.
I don't think we've ever had a track where I'm like, I literally have stopped playing it and like, I can't do this.
Well, And I think that might just also be the format if we're trying at least to say we're going to find something good about it, even if it seems like a underhanded compliment. But I
mean,
assume...
technically, we do search out the tracks ourselves.
Right.
In most cases, 99% of the time, and so it's not like, oh, I'm gonna submit this track to our own podcast. That's absolutely horrible. Sometimes I purposely pick stuff that I know that I will like that you won't.
Yes, we definitely try to catch each other in that. Maybe we should look up like new metal and styles that we generally don't like, and just see what kind of Bandcamp new metal is available. What if I look up Limp Bizkit as a tag? Is there going to be people like, yeah, this is my Limp Bizkit inspired act?
That is when I will quit the show.
Oh, well, next episode. Anyway, Craig, what was your best in show for this week?
Oh, it's hard. Like I really dug the Emme Phyzema track, but like I don't know how much like I would continue listening to it. And so I think I'm gonna go with the Hathaway family plot, just because I liked the way the tracks were kind of put together, and I think long term it's at least more approachable for me to listen to, especially around the house, because I don't know if my wife would even get through half a song from Emme Phyzema.
Really? Man, that's unfortunate. I mean, I'm glad actually you didn't pick Emme Phyzema, because last week we had the same best in show, and I didn't want to repeat that process. But Emme Phyzema, that's my best in show. Arvid is a close second, but like I said, I want to be one of those hipsters that says, I knew about this band before you guys did, and I'm pretty sure that'll happen.
Yeah, well, I hope so, and then I can say, well, I knew about them even before you.
Whoa! All right, on that note, folks, we'll see you next time.
Peace.